The app which comes with the smart charger. This one is branded up as Charge DV under the Smart Plus brand, but that can be changed quite easily. So if we go into there, this opens up the Kaluza system and gives us a dashboard. So right now there is no car plugged in, so we don't see any details there. But I can give a quick overview of the dashboard. In the top right, you've got the boost button. What this does is gives you the ability to override the charge at any point and charge at full power. If I click onto there, get a quick warning, but it won't boost right now because there's no car plugged in. There's no view of today's charging data. I've not actually charged the car today, but I'll go into history to show you what that looks like. And then these buttons along the bottom, so you can see dashboard, history, schedule, more. I'll start off on schedule, because this is probably the most obvious part. It's got each day of the week, it's a weekly schedule, and you can set up when you want your ready by time. So if I go into, for example, Monday, I can decide when I want the car ready. So 7 a.m. for me. If I click confirm, sorry, I've got tick box here. I need my car set by that time. If I don't have that ticked, it just won't charge for that day unless it sees an opportunity to get a good price. I've also got in this schedule view the ability to set solar matching mode, which is here's the window, but that's just an on or off in this screen. I'll show you more about the settings on that later. I've got solar at home, so that's turned off. Got history view. So what this does is give you a monthly overview. We're on the first month, I've not plugged in, so I'm going to go back to June on the top. So this gives us the overview for the previous month and the cost for that month. So time plugged in, charging time in hours, and the energy used. The charging time is actually the time plugged into the charger rather than the time actually charging. So if we look at the last, let's go back to Tuesday 2nd of June, you can see the car was plugged in on Tuesday 2nd. Open this up to get a bit more detail at about 6:30. It charged pretty much at full power all the way through and finished at about 5 a.m. And that's put in 65 kilowatt hours over that period. Find another one that's doing something a bit more intelligent. So here's a good example. This is plugging in at about 7 a.m. and it's actually, because it's high electricity usage at the time and the price of electricity was high, it's charged at very low power, so you can see it could charge at 7.4 kilowatts as per the previous one here. But actually on here it's actually charging at a much lower charging power, roughly 1.6 kilowatts. And that will carry on until the middle of the night. And what you can actually see here is it gets to an opportunity the next day and increases the charging speed. That was with no ready by time set, so clearly if you had a ready by time it would have charged up for that. In this more button here, we've got lots of other settings. So one of the good features now is this vehicle detail setting. So this allows us to do a direct integration with some vehicles, if not just pull the settings through. So at the moment that's set up for Renault, Nissan and Tesla. There might be a couple of others coming on, I think Hyundai coming on as well. And the idea of this is you get a state of charge from the vehicle, which will show also when the vehicle's plugged in, which you don't normally get on a charger, and also some clever integrations between the car and the charger. So, for example, if you've got a ready by time set and a preheat set, we'll make sure that the charger is actually offering current to the car when your preheat is active, so you don't drain from the battery. There's some clever little integrations there, which is way above what anyone else does. Also in this more window, I can set the tariff details, and this gives us the ability to basically input the tariff you're working off, and then that tariff data gets pulled across. So I'm on a single rate tariff here because that's most cost effective for me, but there could be, for example, I can set this up for a 2-period tariff, say economy 7, and have, say, at 11 o'clock my electricity rate drops. The charger can then optimise around that, but I'm on a single rate here. The other one we have in here is there's a big list, as you can see. The one worth looking at is probably Octopus Agile, and this is the big selling point because the prices change all the time. So that tariff exists. Basically, the price of electricity is changing every half hour, and it will calculate the best times to charge the car based on the cost of electricity. I'm not going to change that now because I don't want to change my settings. We then got micro generations. This is the solar matching mode we discussed earlier. So this is basically the ability to add the local generation and set up some settings on that. So what have you got? Solar, wind, other, make a model of your inverter, what panels you've got, everything else. and what the output power is. And what we'll do then is track basically the solar export from the house and divert that into the car should it be necessary to do so, and basically to charge from solar where possible. Also in the More button, we've got this environment screen. This is quite nice. Not fully released yet, but we've released it in beta. So I can go through to let's find last week when we actually charged. And you can see here that this is the CO2 savings for the miles we would have travelled to 372 kilos in a week of CO2 saved based on a petrol car, or just on smart charging versus dumb charging. So using carbon optimization, we save 1.8 kilos of carbon. More importantly, I think we probably saved several pounds of electricity cost as well. What I can also do is overlay grid carbon intensity data. So that for that same charging period, you can see the grid carbon is changing throughout the day. So clearly charging it around 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. would be much cleaner and better for the grid than charging it later at time. And that exists for various days in here. So if we find one that we actually plugged in and charged, here's a good example. So you can see it's plummeting here on the grid carbon, and we've taken the opportunity to charge. Of course, it's purely predictive. So this one here, it's not actually done a particularly good job, but we'll find another charging session. Here's another charging session as well. I think this is actually a boost in the morning. Yeah, I think it is. So, but it will optimize for with no schedule set to charge in the lowest carbon times and the cheapest times. Back to the More screen, there's also an FAQ section, which is just general support, so a bit of self-service in there. We've also got the contact us page, which we'll update, and also this beta page now, which basically for unsupported features. So we can now, in the history screen, there's a download button at the top, and what this does is basically sticks everything into a CSV file, which is really handy for people that want a bit more information than what we show in the general history screen. So you can see clearly these graphs are not very granular. If you want that detail, it exists in, I think, 5-second increments. Back to dashboard, not much else to see. Yeah, I think that's everything.